First of all, I hope everyone out there is happy, healthy, and safe. I know that we're living through unprecedented times, but at least we all will be able to reflect when we see the history books. I want to go quickly through a lot of the information that we've gathered. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to try and breeze through some things quickly. Just a little bit of background, which is that over the last 20 years, I've been running marketing for staffing firms. 8 years ago, we started our own marketing firm focused on working with staffing. And I have been wanting to do an ATS survey for many, many years, and I finally got around to it. We really wanted to outline what is happening in the marketplace, what things are important to people, the features and benefits of the various systems, but we wanted it to be from you. We had over 200 respondents that came in and shared with us their feelings through a survey, and we look forward to updating this annually now so that we can gain more information. But the evolution of ATS is quite remarkable. I've worked with everything from homegrown systems all the way through the biggest of the systems, and each of them have their strengths and weaknesses. So we wanted to hear from users and owners of staffing firms of what they feel. So when we look at the ATS market, and it's time for you to get a new ATS, you're immediately looking at the evaluation process. And we wanted to see if we could provide something that would help in that evaluation process. You're sitting through so many demos and RFP requests and creating a list of leaders and going through more demos, et cetera. And really the key to these systems are how well they serve you with your specific needs. Additionally, and obviously pricing is always a question. So when we talk about all this, what we wanted to do in the study was cover everything from capabilities on the system, total cost of ownership, the features that are most important to you, how fast are all these tools modernizing, as well as the newest of evolutions, which is being, on the AI front. So without further ado, we wanted to find out who the respondents were. So just to give you kind of a quick piece of information, you can see it's from a good spectrum of the staffing industry. We're seeing everything from individual salespeople to recruiters, owners and CEOs, managers in the C-suite. Additionally, we wanted to see which systems they were referring to when they talked about this. And so Bullhorn, Aviante, Atkins, Ceipal, eRecruit, JobDiva hit the top leaderboards. There was an other category where we received everything from homegrown to very specialized technology that didn't quite fit into any other category. So you can see that this is a wide spectrum of the various different ATSs. So let's jump into capabilities. The first thing we asked them was to rate each of the systems on candidate recruitment, assessment, management, onboarding, job boarding, postings, reporting, and more. And as you can see, 7.1, Ceipal came out as number one in the overall system capabilities, with Aviante coming in and other coming in as a close second. And as we look at this, I felt like the overall didn't give you enough information. So we wanted to break that out into individual features and how you all rated. So with that, candidate recruitment, when we look at that, what we see is that the average score was a 6.49, whereas Ceipal actually ranked at a 7.3. So coming from from the users and from the owners, you can see how markedly different each one is. But what we wanted to do with when you see the average in green, that is because most of the staffing firms have agreed that this is an important feature. And so almost all of the ATSs have said, we cover this pretty well. Whereas when we come to candidate assessments, you can see it drop below 6. And what that really is meaning to you is some of the ATSs aren't providing the assessment capabilities that you're expecting. And so with that, you can see that the different scores reflect which of the particular ATSs have really stepped up to the challenge of candidate assessment. When we talk about candidate management, With a 7.0, clearly everyone is doing this. It was not a feature that stood out as an individual item. It really did appear to be that from a candidate management standpoint, most of the audience felt that everybody was right in there. And as Ceipal users, you can already see how much this is affecting your individual usage and scores. E-boarding. Once again, we see that various different tools ranked up there. Once again, with 6.24, we can see that most of the staffing, most of the ATSs are doing quite well at the onboarding nature through electronic, which has become even more important in our current environment. The placement process. So we can see here with a 6.60, once again, most of the ATSs are doing quite a good job at the placement process. And you can see once again how the various tools ranked. When we look at database management, we were looking overall for how well people are utilizing the database and how well it manages it. And as you can see here with a 7.7, Ceipal really tops the chart at being able to manage your database. Job board integrations. So we wanted to know how many of the ATSs are really providing all the integrations that you need. With a 6.43 average, we concluded that most of the ATSs are doing a pretty fine job at the job board integrations that are growing more and more necessary to make the job of a recruiter easier, so that they're constantly being able to click a button and go and get back to what they need to be doing. With a 7.6 score, Ceipal rounded out the top. Job postings. Once again, everybody seems to be doing a great job at managing the job posting process. And you can see here that the users felt pretty passionately that each of the ATSs were doing a good job. However, when we come to CRM, we start seeing a little difference of opinions. ATS and CRM are not synonymous. Many people use their ATS like a CRM. Many people have turned to other CRMs. As you can see, Aviante and Ceipal are ranking at the top with their CRM capabilities, and I do know that there are growth plans across the board on that. So when we talk about keep in touch campaigns, these can range from anything from keeping in touch with clients to keeping in touch with candidates or consultants, and we see that there is a huge disparity where the different ATSs are not providing this feature uniformly. And you can see with a 6.8, users feel that Ceipal is doing a pretty excellent job at it. So we look forward to seeing how that evolves over time, because these campaigns are becoming more and more necessary in our daily life, as evidenced by the software innovations that are coming from it. When we talk about AI, now we can see the bottom of the barrel. So right there, we can see that on AI, there's very few firms that are really, let me say not firms, but ATSs that are offering a quality AI product. Overall, with a 6.1, Ceipal's the leader across this particular area. And so as Ceipal users, I'm sure that you're probably pretty pleased with where that's going. And we do look for that to change across the industry to grow and improve. And lastly is reporting. So when we look at reporting capabilities, with a 6.28 average, what we're seeing here is that most of the ATSs are doing a fine job. However, you can see how yours, in retrospect, looks against it. Overall, we're seeing that reporting capabilities are growing in need, and we see that some of the ATSs aren't keeping up with that. So let's talk about real quick about the difference between features and services. And so those were the features that you like. We asked you what services you like. So we talked about customizability and support and user experience, as well as the integrations that you receive. And so once again, Ceipal ranks at a 7.3 on an overall average score, which is pretty impressive because, as we all know, customer support is certainly a place we can all fall down. And when we look at the quality of what's being given between customizability, user experience, and more, we can see that users are pretty pleased with where they're going. So once again, we broke it down into detail. So when you look at user experience and user interface, the overall feeling is that most of the platforms are doing a very good job. However, once again, with a 7.6 score, Ceipal stood out as the leader on the UI and UX experience for their recruiters and salespeople. Once again, this is all about making it easier to use, less training needed, etc. When we look at support, I'm very pleased to say that you all rated Ceipal with a 7.7. The average, though, was a 6.24, with some of the marketplace not doing particularly well with their support. My personal experience across most of these ATSs, this is one area that almost every single ATS needs to work on. Receiving a question with your question is not a very good answer. Customizability. So once again, with a 6.73, people felt that overall it was being done well by most of the ATSs, and nothing particularly stood out here as a defined leader in that particular space, other than the fact that both Aviante and Ceipal stood out as the definite leader. So we wanted to find out more about VMS integrations and efficiency. And as you can see here, users felt like that there needed to be more VMS integrations for most of the providers. Once again, by the way, I'm only bringing up Ceipal so much is because we're on Ceipal Connect and most of you are Ceipal. So with that, VMS integrations and efficiency, the users all basically said that they were very pleased with what they were getting from Ceipal. And as you can see with these others, that there was a little less satisfaction. Once again, the concept of free versus paid integrations. And so not all integrations have to be paid. We look at this and we try and figure out what is the most important piece. And when we look at all these different factors, Ceipal stood out number one in user interface and experience support, VMS integrations, and access. So we wanted to talk about the importance of the services. When we talk about this, you're purchasing an ATS in order to drive efficiency in your business, to drive effectiveness for your business. And so the services that support you are incredibly important. So we looked at VMS integrations, and overall, the market didn't seem to be overly concerned with VMS integrations. What we saw on the other side of things just a moment ago was that everybody was doing a pretty nice job with it, and there was certainly room for improvement. So therefore, we believe that's why the VMS integration scored lower. When we talk about access to free and paid, once again, 4.9, all of a sudden we see a spike. So in support, that is one of the things that users said was the most in the top list of most important features that they need to get out of their ATS. And looking at customizability, once again, we see that the ability to customize to your recruiting process is a very important feature, but the most important was the UI and UX. So as we talk about this and remembering these different features, look to your organization and see how this ranks for you. But the fact is that from the users that we interviewed, we're looking at a 7.8 overall score, making it the most important service when acquiring an ATS. So we wanted to talk about how fast are each of these firms modernizing? Are they keeping up with the needs that you have that keep evolving? And the fact is that we were able to see that both Ceipal and Aviante ranked at the top for modernizing most quickly. It's particularly rewarding to see how each of these particular ATSs are growing with your respective needs. And we hope that that continues for a long time to come. Another part that was very important was total cost of ownership. So nobody would ever say that the cost of these products is something that they can just ignore. So total cost of ownership referred to all of the different costs from maintenance to seat licenses to hardware, software costs and integrations, and wanted to see, when you factor in the total cost of ownership, how satisfied were you? So you can see that there was definitely a disparity between each of these firms and the value or perceived satisfaction with that total cost of ownership. So we asked everybody, well, so if the prices are so important to you, what are the specific areas that are most important to you? And so as you can see from this, the price of the seat license is generally the number one factor that people consider. And they're very conscious of the price of integrations, annual maintenance, and any supporting hardware or software they need. Each of these demonstrated that price does matter. So we look at this and we felt like this survey will give you a well-rounded view of how people feel about the various features as well as the total cost of ownership. So when we talk about AI, AI is evolving very quickly. And when we look at that, we wanted to find out how many people were actually using AI. And 26% of the audience was already using artificial intelligence to assist in their recruiting efforts and more. So as we look at that, we were wondering how many people plan to adopt it. So with an additional 45% plan to adopt over the next year. So we look forward to seeing how AI impacts the marketplace, as well as specifically in the ATSs and how they help staffing firms drive down and drive for more efficiency. So a little bit about us. Once again, spent 20 years working with staffing firms, and everything from started my career with ComSys, now Experis, ran marketing for On Assignment, both nationally and internationally, moved to Eliason Group here in Boston. And all of these firms, just so much that we brought, back from that we decided to start our own firm in 2012 that focuses on marketing and sales consulting for staffing firms primarily. We also work with solution firms. But what we wanted to bring to the table was the fact that everyone had talked about pretty pictures and branding. And the fact is brand matters, but not without ROI. So all of the various features that you bring to your table are ones that we're trying to drive the value for you. And we look forward to an opportunity to work with you. I wanted to go as quickly as I could through this because we're going to be sending out the survey on Tuesday formally. And when we do that, all of the participants will be receiving the survey so that they can dig into it in depth and get their own opinions from it. But additionally is the fact that we'll be posting it out for all of you to be able to come get. So we look forward to your feedback on the survey. And with that, I'd love to open it up to questions and hear what thoughts you had and what questions you have from what we presented. And I'm happy to go back and share with anybody. Can we open back up to questions? Vivia? Feel free to just type into your chat and I'll be happy to answer any questions that come your way. Come our way. Well, if there are no questions, then I will be happy to share this out, and we look forward to helping you with anything you need. So feel free to reach out or go through Ceipal Connect to find out more information. Thanks so much for your time, and we really appreciate it.